Hello folks, I'm John Myrie and welcome to the Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. On this week's show we have reports for you from Caleb down at Hayward Bait and Bottle, and then we talk fall fishing with Hayward Area Fishing Guide Jim Leahy. Lots to cover on this week's show, all coming up right after these messages.
Store your boat where it'll be safe and secure at Hayward Powersports. We're the area's largest marine and power sports storage facility. Call now to reserve your space and bring it in when you're done for the season. Your boat will be prepared by our certified techs who properly winterize today's high-tech motors. We offer shrink wrapping and indoor storage, plus a 20% discount in any repairs done when you store your boat with us. State licensed and bonded, Hayward Powersports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77 or at haywardpowersports.com.
The Hayward Lakes Visitors and Convention Bureau in Sawyer County, Wisconsin welcomes you to our Northwoods hometown. No matter the season, no matter the activity, you'll always be surrounded by our great outdoors. What more could you ask for in a vacation destination? Woods, waters, world-class events. Contact us for information on lodging, dining, attractions, events, trail conditions, and more. Order your free vacation guide and start planning your getaway today. Visit us at haywardlakes.com or call 1-800-724-2992.
Riding along in my automobile.
Bumping into things unexpectedly? Make your first choice for collision repair. Ernie's Auto Body, featuring the most advanced collision repair facility in Northwest Wisconsin. With a state-of-the-art spray, bake down, draft paint booth for that better-than-new finish, laser technology for precision frame alignment, loaner cars available, computerized estimates, written guarantees, and documented unmatched customer service, the clear choice is Ernie's Auto Body, south of Hayward on Highway 63 and Nursery Road, where quality is no accident.
Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering welcomes you to stop by for their great lunch menu. And while you're there, Lynn's also has a great selection of custom-cut meats and sausages, as well as many varieties of snack sticks, jerky, fresh cheese curds, and much more. Lynn's is open Mondays through Fridays from 9 to 5:30 and 9 to 4 on Saturdays. Lynn's Custom Meats and Catering in Hayward.
Today, anglers fish longer. Today, anglers fish harder. Today, anglers rely more than ever on their electronics. It all comes down to catching more fish, and today, anglers rely on Amped Outdoors lithium batteries, period. Visit ampedoutdoors.com today to power your outdoor experience.
We're down on Hayward Bait and Bottle. I'm talking to Caleb down here. You know, we're actually running behind schedule on the fall this year. Everything seems to be warmer than normal.
Right, yeah, water temps are high. Normal temps are high right now. Usually it's a bit cooler than what it is.
Yeah, normally we're a lot less leaves on the trees even right now. Right. But, you know, we had that really high pressure front come through last week. And I mean, it was like every day the barometer was sky high. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. You know, a few days were windy, and that actually made a difference in the fishing and pushed a lot of the fish down, especially I noticed crappies. They were hugging the bottom pretty tight, except for the little ones.
Right. Yeah, I was noticing that too. The high temperatures is not really bringing the fish up. Nothing's really coming too shallow quite yet, but yeah, temps are starting to drop.
Yeah, well, you know, you catch them. They were catching fish. We caught fish. They seem to be scattered around the bottom. Get your bait down there, and you'll see them come up off the bottom, the crappies and bluegills. Walleye fishing has been pretty decent from what I've been hearing. I know some of the big lakes are getting fish on. The Chippewa flowage, we've been finding them actually a little bit shallower.
Yeah, I was hearing a lot of people are still kind of trolling, doing a little bit of deeper running, but yeah, stuff is starting to come up. I was hearing a little bit on Nelson too, that fish were coming a little bit more shallow towards the weeds.
Well, you know, and sucker minnows have been what we've been using, but I noticed last week I couldn't catch them on a sucker minnow on the Chippewa flowage. I was catching them all on a half a crawler, but we were seeing some bug hatches going on yet. You know, and fish eat that stuff, you know, and, you know, that's going to affect the fishing. We're way behind, they said, with water temperatures. Normally, historically going back, and I've been up here for like 45 years guiding, and it used to be that around the Muskies Inc. Fall Tournament, which is, you know, first weekend in October every year, we're in the middle of turnover on a lot of lakes, or they were getting set up for turnover. We're a long ways from that right now because water temperatures are running in the mid to high 60s.
Right. Yeah, we usually we're pretty low 60s, high 50s maybe, but yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with the temperatures.
You know, bass fishing has been good. I know that the bass have been active, but we've been catching quite a few smallmouth especially in the evenings. We've been getting a lot of them on topwater baits even.
Yeah, I've been hearing people using topwater. The fish that are still running deep, Ned rigs are doing really well right now for the smallies.
Yeah, that would be typical. Ned rigs or drop shot rigs are probably your number two, for the fish that are less aggressive, more of a finesse type presentation. But largemouth bass fishing, I'm hearing some people getting them up in the edge of the weeds and out to 10, 12 feet in cabbage.
Right, yeah, they're coming up real shallow now, so topwater's hitting. Pretty much anything that runs shallow is starting to work well for them bass.
Muskie fishing. A lot of people up here muskie fishing in the fall, and typically this is a time where we're at below 60-degree water temperature, and we're talking about dragging suckers. Some guys are fishing suckers right now, but we're not really into that heavy sucker bite yet. They're still hitting topwater baits.
Right, yeah, the sucker bite isn't as big as it usually is right now. The water's still warm. The suckers aren't really doing much for fishermen out there.
I've been out there and we caught a couple of fish on jerk baits, but we caught several fish on topwater baits already, and it's just this time of year, then the fish haven't been as shallow as what people think. I've been catching them out to that 8 to 12 feet right now, and I think it was probably that high pressure was pushing them out. If that starts to change a little bit and the barometer starts to drop a little bit, maybe the fish will come back up shallow again.
Right.
Well, as far as pike fishing, what are you hearing there? I know there's always good pike fishing in the fall.
Yeah, I haven't been hearing too much, but I know people are definitely catching the pike. The pike are all over the place. They're coming up shallow, just like the bass are.
Yeah, well, especially the big pike. The big pike spend most of their time out in deeper water because the little pike are a warm water fish and the big pike are a cold water fish, and they bail off into that deeper water. But once that temperature starts to come down some, they start coming up, and I think we'll even see more big pike up shallow as the temperatures drop down, and we know they're going to drop down at some point here.
Right, yeah, pretty soon the temperatures are going to drop, so everything is going to start moving up shallow. Everything is going to start pushing towards the weeds, weed edge, all of that.
And our hunting seasons are open right now, too. And, small game's open, the archery deer season. And I don't know, the bear hunter's been doing pretty good out there, too.
Oh, yeah, I did. I heard a few stories from some bear hunters that came in. Deer's doing well. I've seen quite a few deer, actually.
And that'll get better, I think. I don't really get too enthused about that until I get to somewhere in the mid-October sometime when things start slowing up fishing, because I'm on the water a lot of days now.
Right.
As far as down at the shop here, I know you guys have got a lot of gear and equipment in here for the fall fishing, and you got a really good supply of suckers, I hear.
Yeah, we got every size of musky sucker you can need. We got walleye, northern. We got everything you can need for live bait right now.
And the hardware, the rigs, like sucker rigs and all that stuff you got?
Yeah, we got sucker rigs. We got the big floats that you would need. Anything that you would need to go and throw a sucker out on a hook, we got it.
And walleye fishing, too, and bass fishing. I know the shop's really geared up for that. Plus, as far as the hunting aspect, I mean, you got everything here, especially archery stuff.
Yeah, right. We've got anything you can need for bows. We've got some calls here and there. We got some baits for deer or whatever you need.
Well, I want to thank you a lot for taking the time here, and hopefully everybody has a great fall out there. Well, folks, we need to take a break right now and hear from some of the fine sponsors that make this show possible every week. When we come back, we'll be talking fall fishing with Hayward Area Fishing Guide Jim Leahy. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hunters and anglers, Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop sport and bottle shop in the Hayward area. Stop in and check out the huge selection of fall muskie, bass, walleye, and panfish tackle. They also have a great selection of ammunition, scents, hunting supplies, and much more. Gear up for the fall at Hayward Bait and Bottle. And while you're there, check out the bottle shop for a full selection of beer, wine, and liquor, too. Hayward Bait and Bottle is your one-stop sport and bottle shop in the Hayward area. There's no time like the present to explore Hayward, Wisconsin, one of the Midwest's most popular vacation destinations. With crystal clear lakes for water sports and fishing, miles of trails for riding snowmobiles, ATVs, cross-country skiing, hiking, and mountain biking, this area is buzzing with activity year-round. Combined with charming local shops and a variety of Northwoods dining options, Hayward is certain to offer both adventure and relaxation for everyone. Plan your trip today and find everything you need on the Hayward Area Chamber of Commerce website. From events and attractions to local dining, shopping, and lodging, visit haywardareachamber.com and start your next adventure now.
The 2026 Polaris off-road vehicles are rolling in daily at Hayward Powersports, and we need to create room by making crazy deals on the remaining 25s. Now is the time to take advantage during the Polaris Factory Authorized Clearance Event. Claim rebates up to $4,000 or financing as low as 0.99% for 36 months on select models. Polaris RZR is built for everything from taming adventurous terrain to adrenaline-charged trail rides with your crew. Polaris Ranger is the perfect machine for tackling property maintenance and then take on a backcountry ride. Or get the best of both worlds with the Polaris General, built with task-to-trail versatility, unlocking more adventures. With up to $4,000 off select Polaris side-by-sides, it's time to finally get the machine of your dreams. Plus, Hayward Powersports even has rebates up to $1,500 off the machine that started it all, the legendary tough Polaris Sportsman ATV. Let us help you get the right Polaris to join you on your next adventure. Hayward Powersports, just 10 minutes east of Hayward on Highway 77.
Find them online at haywardpowersports.com. See dealer for complete program details. Always wear a helmet, never drink and ride.
Welcome back to another segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. And this part of the show is brought to you by the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau. For more information on lodging and vacationing here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out their website at haywardlakes.com. Well, folks, you know, it might not feel like it out there, but fall is here. And on this week's show, I had a chance to talk to Hayward area fishing guide Jim Leahy about fall fishing and a lot more. Good to have you on the show here, Jim.
Thank you, John.
You know, let's talk a little bit about fall fishing. Although, you know, as I'm recording this, it almost seems like late August more than it does almost October.
I know. I was out today, and I had 66-degree water temperature. I think in the morning I might have had 65. When I left at noon, I think it was almost pushing 67. And I had some guys that wanted to muskie fish, and we were dragging suckers and casting, and the weeds are still high. You know, it was, I don't know. Some guys are getting them on suckers, but I think I might wait another 10 days anyway. I don't know. It just the weeds were so green, and we were throwing a top water, and yeah, it was and kind of bulging bucktails. It just didn't really feel right with the sucker, but I don't know.
Well, you know, this year, the fall seems like it's really at least 2 weeks behind, because, you know, we had that initial cool down, water temperatures dropped down to, you know, below 60 degrees. And then a lot of the lakes it shot back up over 70 degrees. And, you know, how do you think that affects the fishing? I know I'm seeing, actually, I had some dragonflies flying around my house this morning. So, you know, they were the little dragonflies, the damsel ones, but still they're hatching. There's bugs hatching out there in the water, and there has been over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's, you know, I've been on some clear water lakes, and the water temperature out there might be a couple degrees cooler than the flowage, but even so, I mean, it's like, you know, there's no thought of the turnover at all. I know it's been getting cool at night, and in the morning it's a little bit cool, but by 10 a.m., you know, you're down to a short sleeve shirt, and it's October in a few days, so yeah, it's.
What do you recommend people try out there if they're after walleyes? I mean, once that water cools down to the point we get turnover, things are going to change radically. But until then, and everything seems to be late, what do you recommend people try, or what are you seeing?
I've been getting walleyes on slip bobbers and sucker minnows. They're on the Clearwater lakes on the very, very deep weeds, and up to 24 feet, actually, on the deep edges. And then on the flowage, the sucker minnows on the humps and 10 to like 14 feet of water. So the walleyes are actually, there's a decent walleye bite going on right now.
Well, it's the same thing I've seen out there, except the other day they didn't want anything but half a crawler. I mean, so don't overlook the crawlers for quite a while here, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I've been using crawlers a little bit. I've been more on the minnow side, but if you're onto some fish, they'll certainly hit a jig in half a crawler or 3/4 of a crawler, and that's always a good bait. And you know, especially on the soft bottom wood, on the flowage, especially right now.
How about trolling crankbaits? Is that a good option for fall here?
I haven't been doing it a lot. It can be. I know they've caught some decent walleyes in the last week on casting crankbaits, flicker shads, and shad wraps. I heard of a 129 incher out there. So yeah, and that they're in that water that the size 7 flicker shad will go down, 9 to 11 feet on a fast retrieve, and and or trolling. And I think if you work them slow, it's probably more in that 6 to 7. But if fish are in that 9-foot water and they're feeding, they'll get. And the walleyes are shallow out there. The bigger keeper walleyes. Now, if you go on some of the deeper basins, there's walleyes out there too, but a lot of those are the short ones. I'm talking the decent ones seem to be shallow, and also deep weed edges out there are don't overlook those, because there's all kinds of green weeds, and that water temperature, even if it's 67 surface, you get down 6 feet where your slip bobber with your sucker minnow is, you're talking, high 50s, low 60s. That's just the perfect temperature. And those weed beds are full of perch right now. So naturally, that's where the walleyes, and that's why there's muskies on those weed beds right now as well. So
yeah, a lot of people go after the crappies and the panfish this time of year too.
Oh yeah, that's been very consistent. There's still fish on the cribs, and then they're slowly moving into the basins. And, Moore's Bay is, there's crappie in there. So yeah, it's just a good time of the year to go out and get some panfish. And that's, you can do it a couple different ways, but, I like to just vertical fish with light line and a gulp or a plastic. But it's also, minnows in the fall sometimes can outproduce the plastics, and then you got a chance at the walleye. So if you go crappie fishing, it's always good to have a bucket of minnows, because you just don't know what you're going to run up against. And minnows in the fall seem to be, as it gets later, very good.
The other thing, too, I think, is that people don't move enough when it comes to the crappies. The crappies are constantly moving, so people tend to anchor down and wait for the crappies to come to them instead of, actually looking for the crappies and trying to follow them if you can with your sonar.
Yeah, I mean, they do. They move around, and that's why you get, a big flurry of action and then nothing. And well, of course, if you have electronics, you can see that there's not much down there. So it's time to move. Sometimes you don't have to move real far, 20, 30 feet, 50 feet, but yeah, and that's what's nice about, the spot lock and trolling motors. You just move a little bit, spot the fish, hit spot lock, and fish them again.
Yeah, bluegill action's been pretty good too.
Oh yeah, I think generally all fish species are the smallmouth are hitting good. Largemouth bass, we got I don't know, we didn't weigh it, but a fish over 20 inches a few days ago. And I was on a Clearwater lake yesterday, and it was interesting. We were pulling in a walleye, and a big smallmouth followed it, and it was like a 20-inch smallmouth, and he just hovered around there until I netted that walleye. And it was, curiosity, I guess. I don't know, but I'm sure you've had that happen before.
Oh, yeah. And when you're talking to smallmouth, the one thing I've seen pretty consistent on some of the flowages is that the big smallmouth are whacking musky topwater baits pretty consistently now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the big smallies are very aggressive fish, and the topwater baits are certainly not too big for them.
Well, folks, we need to take yet another break and hear from even more of the fine sponsors that bring this show to you every week. When we come back, we'll have the second part of that talk we had with fishing guide Jim Leahy. So stay tuned. We'll be back right after these messages. Hey folks, come on over to Hayward Ace Hardware and check out the area's largest selection of firearms, ammo, and accessories. We carry top brands like Browning and Sig Sauer, and we have a great selection of the newest and hard-to-find models. We've got a large selection of ammo with more coming in daily. If you need a scope, we carry great brands like Leupold, Hawk, and EOTech, and we'll even mount it and bore-sight it for you too. We even sell suppressors and silencers. And don't forget to check out our Guns of the Week. Huge discounts on a variety of pistols, rifles, and shotguns that change every week. So stop on in to Hayward Ace Hardware, your firearms superstore. Hayward Ace Hardware, Highway 63 North in Hayward, or give us a call at 715-634-8700.
Hayward Animal Hospital is a full-service medical and surgical hospital featuring on-site laboratory, digital and dental x-ray, in-house pharmacy, and online store. Dr. Ostrander has 40 years of experience dealing with illnesses, injuries, surgery, and dentistry. Hayward Animal Hospital offers urgent care appointments and emergency surgery daily. Please call early in the day for these appointments. They open at 8 a.m. Hayward Animal Hospital is located 1 mile east of Hayward on Highway B. Call 715-634-8971.
Hey folks, the Log Cabin Store in Northwoods Beach on Highway K between the Big Lakes has groceries, ice, beer, liquor, and pop, and now has all new tackle and bait supplies. All current antiques and household items are now on sale and all must go to make room for the sport shop. That's at the Log Cabin Store in Northwoods Beach between the Big Lakes.
If you'd like to have your time fishing be more enjoyable and productive, hiring a fishing guide can be a good investment. Whether it's learning more about fish patterns throughout the year, learning how to use your depth finder to find the best spots and fish, learn how to use that GPS to get the most out of it, or learn better boat control. A day on the water with a guide can really help you to be a better angler, as well as make a day on the lake very enjoyable. To book a guide trip this year or get more information, you can find us on the internet at www.wiscnorthlandoutdoors.com, and then just click on Area Guides.
Welcome back to the last segment of this week's Wisconsin Northland Outdoors. And folks, we're going to jump right back into the second part of that talk we had with fishing guide Jim Leahy. And I mentioned muskies, and a lot of people come up here. That's a big deal here in northern Wisconsin after muskies this time of year. Typically, we'd be dragging suckers around at this time, and I'm sure there's some guys out there doing it, but that water really needs to cool down some.
It does. You know, I was surprised. I had a sucker. We were casting, and I had a young girl in the boat, and she couldn't handle the musky rod. So I kind of knew that her best chance would be a sucker today. So she kind of watched that, and we kept that behind the boat. But I had it set as, you know, those are like usually 30-inch leaders. So I had a bobber, so it was set at 30. I didn't put any weight, and it was just pretty much at the top. And the water was cool enough that it didn't, you know, hurt the sucker. It stayed alive for 4 hours, and it did get looked at a couple times, and we had one chasing it, but that was as close as that got. But you know, it was just with the weeds and stuff. It was just, you know, a little premature, I think. Although, I mean, I did see a few people out there dragging them, and I've had reports of guys getting them, so it's coming, you know. And but the best fishing of the year is in the next month, you know, month and a half. So we're just kind of I have a feeling, but I don't know. I mean, how long can this warm weather continue? I don't know.
Yeah, well, one thing is pretty sure of is that, you know, we've seen it many, many times where you have that warm weather hangs on in that warm water. All of a sudden, it's going to crash. And when it does, it's going to be a pretty severe drop. And that can really kind of hurt the fishing, too, for a few days, can it?
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a shock to the whole system. When that top layer of water sinks down and mixes in, and you've got all those nutrients and coming up, and all of a sudden fish that were in, 10 foot of water can go freely into the 20, 25, on the deeper lakes, 30, 35, 40. What's it do to the bait fish, the schools of perch? They're going deep because of the nutrients are all mixed in with the water, and because of the turnover. And yeah, that's just a shock. And, I don't know if they stop feeding, but what's hard about it is just you got to find the fish all over. Right now, I'm on the patterns. I can get walleyes on clear water lakes. I can get walleyes on the flowage and crappies as well. Now, when that all changes, then, and then your muskies, they go deep. And all of a sudden you're fishing muskies and, 14, 16 feet, half of the depth with a sucker and throwing big rubber baits and, completely different than what we did today. That's for sure.
Well, one thing, when you actually get into that turnover, when it really goes, the one thing I've also seen too, though, is that for some reason, and I think it's because the green weeds are producing oxygen, a lot of times the muskies and quite a few other fish will go right up in skinny water in the greenest weeds they can find. And I've caught them in 2 feet of water, 3 feet of water up in green weeds right in the middle of the turnover.
Oh, yeah. You just don't know where it's going to be, where the fish are going to be. And some of my, I know last year into November, I was getting walleyes, just before the freeze up with sucker minnows on weed beds and 6 foot of water, in the daytime. And there were still green weeds, they weren't brown, they were green still. So it, some types of weeds, die quicker than others stay green for a long time.
As we're talking here and recording this, it looks like we're going to have warm weather for a while, but that could all change by the time I get this aired too. This is that time of year when at some point Mother Nature is going to throw us a big curve real quick.
Oh yeah. So when this gets aired next weekend, we'll be right into the middle of the fall muskie tournament. And there'll be guys getting muskies on topwater. There'll be guys getting muskies on bulldogs and guys getting muskies on bucktails. I know you can't use the live bait in the tournament, but the guys that aren't in the tournament could be dragging suckers. So, yeah. So a week from now, I still think the muskies will probably be chasing baits pretty good and probably fairly shallow because it's going to take a little bit for that water to cool down. And, if we have 70 degrees all week, and even if we get a cold snap, it still takes a little bit for it to actually get through the whole column. So, yeah.
Well, that's different because historically I've been doing guiding for a lot of years, and you have too. And we can remember a lot of years, not that many years ago, by the time we got to that Fall Muskies Inc. tournament, the lakes a lot of them were right in the middle of turnover or going into it, one or the other.
Oh, yeah. And, some of those October weekends, your hands get numb when you're muskie fishing. and today, this last couple weeks, it's been, it's actually warm out there. You got I've been putting sunscreen on and, drinking a lot of water, and it reminds me of August fishing, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, Jim, a lot of great information there. You want to give out some information? Is somebody looking to get you for a guide, or Tom, one or the other?
Yeah. My number is 715-558-9719, and Tom is 558-6755. That's my son, and he's been busy guiding, and he's been putting some decent fish in the boat lately. I just got back from Canada, and they had some 49.5-inch muskies, and they didn't break the 50, but they got some really nice muskies up there, and that was a warm bite as well, and it was different from other years when the water was warm up there, and same as around here, surface baits. I think they got a big one on a surface bait, top raider, and yeah, so
yeah, and they picked up some smallmouth up there too. Well, Jim, I want to thank you greatly for taking the time with us here.
Yeah, thank you, John, and I'm sure I'll be talking with you. But you have a great fall.
Well, folks, we're about out of time for this week's show. I'd like to remind everyone out there that if you miss a show, go to our website at wnoradio.com. And from there, you can link to our podcast site, and the show is also on Spotify and Google Podcasts every week. And also, if you're looking for information on vacationing and lodging here in the Hayward Lakes area, check out the Hayward Lakes Visitor and Convention Bureau website at haywardlakes.com. Thanks for listening, folks. We're out of time, and we'll be back again next week with another interesting show for you.
Listen with me, I'm gonna take you there to our Wisconsin outdoors, our Wisconsin outdoors.
This program has been produced and hosted entirely by Wisconsin Northland Outdoor Communications.